Well, welcome back to Pee Pee Poo Poo Nothing Matters, where we dive into fictional universes better than our own. I'm Jacob, and I'm here with a whooping cough. So we're gonna.
Thank you, Mike.
Shut up. Whatever. It's your in depth. We're gonna be covering the Hobbit, Battle of Five Armies, and we're hopefully probably gonna be wrapping this one up. It's a little bit shorter, so we'll probably go all the way till the end.
And then we can get to the OG stuff, like the Lord of the Rings.
Yep. Couple of quick things. If you like the fact that I have notes, I have notes up until about halfway through this episode. So we are going to be doing something a little bit different after our sponsor break. But that is just, we're going to be, walking through it side by side, the way Evan usually does.
Yay!
So, other than that, we did reach our next blooper reel. That'll be coming out soon. That'll be our fourth one. Thank you so much for the 4,000 downloads.
And I have a genuine question.
What's that?
I want our two listeners to go into the comments and tell me, because I've heard a lot of people say this about you, Jacob.
What?
That you just have an announcer voice or like a podcast voice, and I want the people that listen. I want them to either confirm or deny it. I want to see it.
Huh. All right. Whatever.
Even if it's one person, I want to see a comment on this one.
Okay. Starting off with a call to action. There we go. All right. I'm kind of curious, I guess, too, actually, if people actually think that.
Because, when you came and visited me out here, one of my roommates made the comment as well. You just have that kind of voice.
Yeah, and my mother-in-law has been saying that, too. She's like, you should have studied communications. And I'm like, I know, but if I did this as a job, I'd probably hate it.
And you're like, yeah, I know, but I'm not. As I say when I was in a communications field for 4 years.
Wait, what?
Yeah, man.
No, I didn't even hear what you said. It broke up.
I said that I'm saying that, while for 4 years I was in the communications field.
Oh, you were okay.
Yeah.
I see. Well, anyway, we'll go on with it, but thank you so much for the 4,000 downloads. That's one of our goals. Obviously, every 1,000 we do a blooper reel. The other goal, and I would love to see this happen again, but as Evan constantly, reminds us of, and that's not a negative thing, but it's on you guys, is the live stream. I've been a little more skeptical on if 100 is too high, but it definitely needs to be more than what it is now. So please, please, please go leave a review.
Yeah.
But I guess other than that, I don't have anything else. That was just kind of a thank you and a reminder, and I guess a call to action from Evan. But without anything else, without further ado, I think we should probably start.
Just a quick reminder. I know I said it last episode, but we had, what did I say? It was August of next year is the live action TV show thing coming out for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
In the universe.
Yep, in 1 year.
Yeah.
We had a Lord of the Rings series.
Just a reminder, I guess, because I had brought it up as Lord of the Rings news in prior episodes, but they do have that animated film they are working on, The War of the Rings.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen anything new on those, but that's just me reminding everybody that those are still things that are happening. And I guess on that as well, they have that Gollum game they're working on as well.
Yeah.
But I have not seen any updates on those for at least the Gollum game and the War of Rohirrim. I have not seen anything for release dates or anything like that. But just kind of a reminder that they are still out there.
All right. Yeah. Also, I forgot to mention it because mainly I didn't even recognize that it was a thing. But I'd also like to welcome our special guest for this episode, which is the cicada outside of my window. I don't know if you can hear that, but yeah.
I can't hear it.
I know you probably can't, but they were just very loud just now. It's probably very faint and nobody knows what I'm talking about, but I was hearing it. So either way, let's just go on with it. So last episode, Battle of Five Armies, we had found Erebor, right? The dwarves had appeared, and they went in and they were searching for the King's Jewel, the Arkenstone. Thorin had started to become, more sick with the dragon sickness. Before that, also, Smaug had been setting ablaze the Laketown. And the residents of Laketown had fled, had gone to Dale, or what was Dale, and set up there. A bunch of elven, warriors, whatever, the armies came in, and they are all planning on kind of storming into Erebor because of having the riches, and stuff. The people of Dale are owed something because of Thorin's word, and the elves are after the gems and the things that they were, I guess, promised a long time ago.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that? Well, I mean, Smaug died. Bard shot him with the black arrow. I don't know if anything else that truly happened. We found out that Bilbo has the Arkenstone. I think that's about it, right?
Yeah, we know Bilbo has the Arkenstone. There was that brief little moment where we kind of saw the old Thorin come back.
Right.
I'm trying to think.
I mean, that's really all that happened. I feel like.
Well, and then Legolas and Tauriel, as we are picking up here, rode north to Gundabad.
Right. So that's where we pick up. That was kind of a brief and probably bad summary, but if you listen to the last episode, I mean, you know what's going on. So we open in, and we find Lego parts and Taurus Demon observing guns is bad.
Uh-huh.
Seeing there are a bunch of orcas marching for war, and Bolge leads them.
You forgot the giant bats.
That's what you're gonna correct out of that?
Yeah. You didn't mention the giant bats. They're flying as well.
Right.
They're bats of war.
Okay, well that was all kind of in the same scene, but whatever, I guess.
Yeah, but you said everything else but the bats, and I feel like the bats.
I know,
are very
but I wasn't
important.
quite done yet. But whatever.
Oh,
yeah.
very well.
Okay.
Continue,
There's bats. There's bats flying around, and Lego parts. He was mentioning to Tamriel that they're bred for war. So they've got air support, basically. The orcs do. So
Indeed.
anyway, Tarkin and Lego Nuts leave, and we cut to Bilbo at Erebor.
Did you just take all the names and just?
Yeah, I did. I'm completely mispronouncing them. Yep.
With every single name.
And for a little bit here, yeah, a couple more lines and I'm done. But yep. But anyway, he is securing a harness to go down the wall because he's wanting to leave. Canadorf is there, and they talk a little bit. Bofer is his name, right?
Yeah.
And he says, no one could blame a soul for wishing to be elsewhere. Basically being like, listen, I get it. And lets him go. Lets Bilbo go without saying a word to anyone.
Yeah, and I mean...
But Bilbo says he's going to be back by morning.
Yeah, and I mean, Bofer here, he's really I would say he's the only dwarf out of all of them that truly accepted Bilbo from the get-go.
Yeah.
I do think these two, out of the 14 company, I guess the 13 dwarves and then Bilbo, I think Bofer and Bilbo definitely have the strongest relationship out of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so.
I think it was in like the first movie with the whole Goblin tunnels. It was almost a similar situation, but it was like Beaufort that was trying to talk Bilbo to stay.
Yeah. Yeah, they've always had those kind of moments. But anyway, Bilbo leaves and comes into Dumbledore talking to Beard and Train Duel. He gives them the King's Jewel, saying they can offer it in return. Like basically be like to Thorin, listen, you want this. This is what your heart desires. We will give it to you, but you have to give us what's right. Like what's rightfully ours. And Bilbo's purpose with this is to avoid war. He doesn't want his friends to die in battle, and he doesn't want Thorin to be driven mad, which, I mean, the jewel's probably only going to worsen, but still.
Well, and Bilbo's not the only one that's trying to, like, stop this. Gandalf is here at this point as well, trying to talk to Thranduil and, like, trying to get him to, like, stand down.
Yeah, and he's like telling him like all the stuff that's like there's an army of orcs coming. There's all this going on. Like there's much bigger threats at hand, and you guys like don't fight them.
Yeah, and I mean Gandalf even tries to appeal to Bard to try and get this to stop. But I mean Bard's under the mindset of like once the dwarves see like this forest, see the armies that we have, like they're gonna give up.
Yeah.
At which point Bilbo shows up and they're like, no, they're gonna fight to the death. Like they're gonna fight to the death to protect what's theirs. Like they're not gonna.
Right. But Ganondorf tells Bilbo not to underestimate the evil of gold. He then gives Alfred the task of finding Bilbo a bed and watching after him.
Yeah, and we do have kind of a funny moment here too. Right as you were saying, Bilbo.
I think I know what you're going for. I didn't make a note of it, but go ahead.
But as Bilbo is giving Thranduil the Arkenstone, and Thranduil's making the comments of like, so this is the one that stole the keys to my dungeon. This is the one that let my prisoners go. And Bilbo's just like, yeah, my bad.
Yeah, he kind of looks at him. He's like, yeah, yep, and then just kind of proceeds. But anyway, I am done with mispronouncing stuff, I'm pretty sure. It got to be too much. So we cut to the following day. All elves are, like all the, armies, the elven army is outside of Erebor, approaching Thorin, they're not approaching, they're stationed, but Thranduil and Bard are approaching Erebor. Thranduil on his giant elk caribou thingy, and I believe Bard's just on a horse, ain't he?
Yeah.
But they approach, and Thorin shoots an arrow at towards their feet, and then screams, "Next one's in between your eyes."
Yeah, and it does cut back to Alfred there for a second, like he's bringing Bilbo breakfast, and Bilbo's not in his bed.
Right.
And it goes right back to the actual scene that we're in. It's just kind of like a quick jump, like where's Bilbo at? Oh, what's going on?
Right. Where is it? So, yeah, Thranduil says that payment of his debt has been offered and accepted, and they show him the Arkenstone. Thorin screams down to them, saying, "This is a lie. That's not it." But Bilbo's back up there with them, and he says it's not a trick. He said that he gave it to them as his portion of the reward. Like he took that upon himself to include that in it, which I feel like is probably not the best way of reasoning it, because obviously Thorin's not going to see it that way. But regardless, he tells him this is real. That's it.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't want you guys going into war. I'm trying to make it right. There it is.
Well, Thorin, he even confronts Thorin, telling Thorin that, Thorin has changed, and, the dwarf that Bilbo met back in Bag End would never, make the comments Thorin has been making or do the things that Thorin is now doing,
Yeah, exactly. But Thorin gets upset, says to throw him from the mountain, but he commands the dwarves to do that, but they're not. None of them listen. They're like, no, Like,
Yeah.
they're still reasonable. But then Thorin says, fine, then I'll do it. And he goes and grabs Bilbo, and all the dwarves, like, fight back. They're, like, protecting Bilbo.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
And one thing I saw here is it's just a side thing. But in the background during this scene with everything happening, one of the dwarves, Gloin, is wearing a helmet.
Yeah.
And so for anyone that's seen, the Lord of the Rings, the actual, Lord of the Rings movies, like, you'd probably remember that Gloin is Gimli's father. The helmet that Gloin is wearing right now is the same helmet that Gimli wears through all 3 films. It's one of those, like, small Easter eggs. Like, Gloin passed it down to his son after the events of all this happened.
That's cool.
So yeah, it was just a side thing, but I thought that was just kind of one of those cool little Easter egg type things they put in the film.
Yeah, it is. I didn't pick up on that, but then again, I haven't seen all 3 of those next 3 movies.
Yeah.
But anyway, Gandalf appears, like, kind of comes forward and says, you're not making a very pretty king, basically. Like, that's not what he says, but he essentially says that.
Yeah.
Thorin lets go of Bilbo, and Bilbo takes off running over to his rope, and then he descends down the thing. He flees. He's like, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, well, and Gandalf even says, like, if you don't like my burglar, don't damage him, return him to me.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
but yeah, as you said, Bilbo scurries down the rope, and while he's doing this, we hear we hear Thorin, I'm never gonna interact or trust, wizards ever again, or, hobbits,
my
or
last
people from the
dealing with
Shire.
them. But he ends up then screaming, like, he's like, upon my oath, I will kill you all. Like, he's really angry. Yeah. And Thranduil, retort, like, fires back, basically. He's like, your oath means nothing.
Well, and there is one quick scene here as well, where we see Thorin look over, like, away from the elves, and it very specifically shows, like, the like a high rise, or like on the horizon, some land above. Like, he's looking for something. He's expecting to see something there.
Yeah.
But he doesn't, and I get the feel here that, like, I kind of get the feel that, like, he's trying to play for time at this point.
Oh, he's kind of, like, trying to stall a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because then in comes a raven, which is their messengers, right?
Yeah, and before we continue with this as well, there's another one of these small little, kind of like Easter egg type things here.
Oh, okay.
Where Thranduil turns to Bard, like, after Thorin's sitting there, is like, why should we have to buy back what's rightfully ours? Why should we have to give even more, type of thing, as he's just kind of ranting, trying to play for time. Yeah. But Thranduil turns to Bard, and tells Bard that, he could sell the King's Jewel to Ecthelion of Gondor, and he'll give Bard a good price for it. And, like, I'm sure for you, you're like, oh, well, that doesn't mean anything to me. But for those that have, like, watched the third Lord of the Rings movie, the Return of the King, at one point you're introduced to a specific character, and his name is Denethor, and it's Denethor, son of Ecthelion. So it's just kind of like, it's another one of those little, like, Easter eggs. If you're not really paying attention, you're not going to catch it.
Interesting.
Type of things.
Huh. Well, from down below, I don't recall who says it, whether it's Thranduil or Bard. Probably Thranduil, but they shout above, says, will you have peace or war? And Thorin says war.
Yeah, as you said, he has that reaction after he sees that raven return.
Right. And then more dwarves ride in over that mountain not mountain, but that area that he was looking at.
High rise, or like the horizon, or whatever it's actually called. But yeah.
The hill. I don't know.
That hill that he had glanced over to before, and like I said, it very specifically, showed that hill with, like, nothing there.
Right.
When he glanced over there at first.
Yeah. But we do see now, and maybe he was playing for time, but he was waiting for reinforcements.
Yeah.
And in they come. In comes, it says, they say Ironfoot, which
Yeah.
is
So it's Dain
probably,
Ironfoot.
yeah.
Is his
And
name?
we learn from Gandalf as he's talking to, I think, Bilbo, that Dain, which is the leader of these guys, is Thorin's cousin.
Yeah.
And Gandalf says Thorin has always been more of the reasonable one between those two.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, oh boy.
Well, and so also just a little thing on the Ironfoots, since we're right here getting introduced to them.
Yeah.
So the Ironfoots are from what's called the Blue Mountains, which is a little further east of where Erebor is, and obviously in a different mountain range. But it's just a another dwarven kingdom that
Yeah.
kind of like if someone were to have the Arkansas and be like, hey, come help us, they'd have to come help per their oath.
Yeah.
But it's definitely like something where it's like Dane's like, we're coming to help him. That's my cousin. Like, we're gonna help him out.
Yeah.
There's that like actual like blood connection between Thorin and Dain. So like that's
Yeah.
why we see only Dain showing up with his army and not other dwarven kingdoms.
Gotcha. Yeah. But Dain comes riding down on a boar, and he like kind of reaches this little higher piece. It's like a rock that he gets up on. And basically he like starts talking to the elves, and he's like he says, "Would you consider," and then screams, "sodding off," which, essentially would be like, would you guys just do me the pleasure of going and screwing yourselves? Get out of here. And he like starts,
Yeah.
and then he ends up really going after Thranduil because, dwarves don't like elves. And he calls Thranduil a faithless woodland sprite and threatens Thranduil and then takes off. And on his way out, though, he calls Thranduil a pointy-eared princess.
Well, and Gandalf even attempts to like warn Dain as well. He trying to keep the peace even at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Thorin is, or not Thorin. Sorry, Gandalf is trying to,
Right.
and Dain's just like as long as their armies and threatening my family, like I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. But he shouts, "Let's give these a good hammering." And as he wields his little war hammer and rides off.
And so the next scenes that we're going to see here are extended edition exclusives. They're not part of the theatrical version. This because this fight that we are about to see here between the elves and the dwarves, you don't see this in like the theatric version of it.
Okay. But yeah, we see the battle coming. Elves launch arrows, like a ton of them, towards the dwarves, but they have a countermeasure where they fire off these things that spin around and basically shred the arrows.
It's like a giant arrow from like a ballista.
Yeah.
And then
with like a propeller on it that shreds
like
all the incoming
on the back. Yeah.
arrows. So it counters it. It gets rid of the arrows, and then they're safe.
And the dwarves even too are getting ready to send in their their cavalry, their goat riders as well. And
Dain is shouting some very odd insults because he calls them buggers, and I started second guessing it more. I don't know if he called them twirly whirlies, or if he called the things they shot those. But he shouts some weird stuff like that. But then
I would assume, honestly, that he's referring to the elves with twirly whirlies.
Okay.
Because when he's like giving the commands and whatnot for like those weapons to be fired, he is talking in. Yeah, he's calling the elves with twirly whirlies. It just hit that point in the film.
Gotcha.
But like when he gives the different commands to his armies to like fire those or like have the, their boar riders like charge, he is saying all that in Dwarvish, so I would imagine anything he's really not saying in Dwarvish. If it sounds like an insult, it's probably an insult.
Okay, that's fair. So the dwarves and elves battle. We see a bit of that, but then they hear rumbling in the distance, and
Yeah.
they somebody shouts out that they're wereworms, and we look, and there are these worms, giant ones, that just come boring out of the mountains. And you hear Dain, he goes, "Oh, come on." And then through those holes that those worms just made, we see all the orcs
Yeah, and
coming
so
out of them.
in the theatric versions of this, Jacob,
Yeah.
basically we see what you see when you're watching is right before this battle between the elves and dwarves starts.
Mm-hmm.
In the theatric version, it goes from that right before it starts to us seeing the werewolves. Like
Okay.
it skips the elves and dwarves fighting completely.
Hmm.
For the theatric version.
Interesting.
But then if you read the book, as well, instead of just the elves and dwarves fighting right here, it's elves, men, and dwarves fighting. It's all of them fighting each other. It's like a 1v1v1 type of thing.
Hmm.
And then the orcs show up, and then they all realize, oh shoot, they got a huge freaking army. We all got to team up, or we're dead.
Yeah. But yeah, then in come all the orcs. The dwarves charge them. The elves just kind of stay back and stand. We do see Azog up on top, like of this just large, tall place. He starts giving the commands.
Yeah,
He
he's got,
sends
like, the
in war
flags.
beasts.
He's got like the
Yeah.
flags for the different it's like 4 different flags, and they can move them accordingly to give different commands, along with different horns that the orcs are sounding for their different commands over the entire battlefield.
Yeah. But yeah, he's giving them commands. He sends in war beasts. They come in. We see him sending in now. Well, he's not sending in anything. He commands them to attack the city.
You're jumping way ahead there, buddy.
I know I am. There's a lot of battle that went on here.
Yeah, but I do think it is important to go a little in depth on some of it, though. Not the battle itself, just seeing people fight. But I do think it is important things to point out. Like, as the dwarves are moving up to get ready for the fight, even it does a cut back to Thorin, and his company is like getting ready to jump over the wall and go help. But he just tells them to stand down, like, we're not going anywhere. And as it jumps back to the elves and dwarves, the elves actually show up and help in the fight. And we just kind of, I think he just kind of jumped over that. Some of those smaller points there, which I do think is important to point those out.
Okay. Well, hey, what's new? We backtracked. So.
But just for clarification, the elves are helping the dwarves fight.
Yeah.
And we do get the big old fight scene, like as you were just saying. A lot of it is just fighting.
But
and it is jumping between characters as well. Like, it shows Dain fighting some. It jumps back to like Bilbo and Gandalf having a little dialogue that's not really important. Shows Azog giving other commands for his armies. Like, it's kind of like your typical fighting movie. It just kind of jumps from point A to point B to point C and back again.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But then, yeah, he does call in the war beast, as you were saying. Sorry for going way back.
No, I mean, I guess if there's things to touch on, we should do it. But anyway, yeah, so the orcs start heading towards the town, the city. And hold on. Bard yells for people to fall back to Dale. Go back. They're there. Go help protect it. Our families are there. Then this war giant thing just charges at the walls, smashes into it, knocks himself out, maybe kills himself.
Also, before we continue as well,
breaks down
because we've covered quite a bit of, we're jumping over quite a bit of the battle, obviously, because there's not a whole lot to touch on while the fighting is happening.
Yeah.
I would just say, like, we do get to see some of, like, the dwarven technology during the fight. Like, they do have their carts that have, like, crossbows mounted onto them. And, like, blades on the wheels spinning to deal more damage.
Yeah.
And like all these giant creatures that we're seeing on the side of the orcs, they're all trolls.
Okay. Yeah,
But
they
there
kind of
are
look
some
like
of
it,
them
but
are like Gundabad trolls, like specifically bred up in Gundabad. Other ones are just kind of like your run of the mill troll, but they are all trolls throughout this. Even like because there are a couple of them where you look at them and it's just like that thing looks crippled. That thing like it looks like it's missing an arm or like it looks like its head's really big or really small. It's just
yeah,
different types of trolls is all it is.
gotcha.
And we even see like the orcs right along that same moment as you were saying. The one charges and headbutts the wall. We do
Yeah,
see other trolls that have like literal catapults mounted to their backs.
yeah, yep. But the wall has been knocked down by one of those. We see Bard's children running around, and then Bard kind of comes into town eventually and starts looking for them. And in this,
Well,
we see like all the orcs. They're flooding town. They're killing people left and right. They're just swarming.
yeah, and because I mean, all the men that were, or I should say, the majority of the men that were like strong enough to fight, they were all outside of Dale. So the only people in Dale right now are like the old, the sick, the women and children.
Yeah.
And so it's just a literal slaughter.
Yeah. But and this is jumping around a lot, so I assume we're going to backtrack some, but I'm just going to move along. Bard comes in, he starts looking for him. Then, like, all the men get there, and all those who are out on the battlefield, those men, they come in, start fighting. We see Bard's kids are faced with a troll, and Bard sees this. He ends up like Tony Hawking a cart down the hill and like launches himself at the troll, driving his sword into its chest. So like he saves his kids. But you know what I don't understand really quick? Actually, I'll let you go.
I was just gonna elaborate on some of the stuff that you were seeing at this point. So before I start doing that.
Okay. Well, no, leading up till this point, if there's anything, go ahead.
I mean, I was just gonna, I guess, elaborate a little more that like as the men are first coming in, Bard does send like the archers to the parapets or the walls to try and stave off any more incoming orcs. So like there's not completely overrun. And he's leading the charge, the initial charge of like the men against the orcs. But I do think it is important as well to point out that these are literal like fishermen and dock workers fighting against like war-bred and trained like savage beasts.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they're even able to hold out as long as they do is, in my opinion, it's impressive.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, they do have some of the town guard from Laketown, but for the most part, it's all, like, dock workers, maybe some hunters, fishermen, like, carpenters, like, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But
I was about to say, I don't understand. Like, in some of these, I feel like... So, in this, right? The troll is about to smash Bard's children with a club. He's about to, and then Bard, like, makes a sound, and it looks up at him and is distracted. As it sees him coming down towards him, or towards the troll. But the thing is, and in this case, it's just because it's a troll and they're derpy and easily probably distracted.
Yeah.
But like in most things like that, it's like they get distracted. Obviously, it's the favorable outcome. They don't kill the person. But in most cases, I feel like they wouldn't really know. Like, what if he just didn't notice, Like, I feel like it's just like too reliable that he's going to be distracted. Like, Bard was a while down, like away when he like got distracted.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like that troll had plenty of time to smash Bard's kids. Not that I want him to, Obviously, I don't want him to do that.
Oh,
but
come on, Jacob. Yes, you do.
Well, maybe the younger one.
Maybe the son. He just annoys me personally.
Yeah, maybe. But anyway, yeah. So he kills the troll. we cut back. We see Thranduil and Dain are out there fighting.
Yeah, and we do actually
see some
Thranduil,
scenes of that.
starting to get overrun as well. Like at this point, like he's got orcs all around him, like climbing up on top of his elk.
Yeah.
And like it shakes him off, but it's like we're starting to see the battle like leave their favor. Like they're starting to get overrun.
Yeah. But yeah, then we cut back to the town. Bard sends Alfred off with his daughters. Says, get them to the Great Hall. And he says, help round up the women and children only. Like, only them. We need all the men out here fighting.
Yeah, and so essentially he's like, hey, Alfred, get my children to safety, and then get the heck back here and fight.
Yeah. Yep. So he takes off to do that. Thranduil rides into town on his elk. And I thought this was a really cool scene.
Mm-hmm.
Because as he does it, he picks up 6 different orcs, on 3 on each antler, and then just one swipe of his sword across the entirety of it, he beheads all of them.
Yeah.
He just, slays them.
Well, and as we're around that scene as well,
yeah,
it even cuts back to the men fighting in Dale, and it's starting to show them, fighting, falling back and starting to get overrun as well.
Yeah.
But just
actually,
I kind of mentioned with the elves and the dwarves, the good guys on all fronts are getting pushed back and just getting overrun.
Yeah. So,
oh my gosh. I don't know if you noticed as well, Jacob, with the scene you're talking about where he cuts off the 6 orc heads.
So that's exactly where I'm paused, and that's exactly where I ended my notes. So past where he just sliced off their head, I'm not watching yet. I don't have anything covering that yet. I was actually just about to say, at this point, let's do a sponsor break, and then I will be watching it alongside you.
Okay.
Do you think that's a okay course of action?
Yeah. Before we go to the sponsor, though.
Sure.
Just because this is something that's not right after the head thing, it's literally as he's charging in with the 6 on his, on the.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
But as he's charging in, and as the elk is picking them up on his antlers, if you look behind him, while this is happening, it's literally dozens of orcs getting thrown over the sides of that bridge he's riding in on, from his elk just plowing through them.
Oh.
it literally just looks like it's just bodies getting thrown over the sides as the elk is just pummeling through all of the last orcs that were trying to get into Dale. And I was just dang!
Yeah, so, let's sponsor break right here. All right, coming back from our sponsor break, we are going to go a little bit longer into the movie till about 1 hour and 40 minutes, and at that point, I think we'll end it for this episode, and then wrap it all up in one more episode a week from today. So let's get back into it. Right before, literally 2 minutes ago for you guys. The scene where Thranduil comes in on the elk, beheads some orcs, and
takes
that's
a
where
volley of arrows. Yeah, so
he does, and
right
and
as we're starting here.
Yeah.
Yeah, the elk does take a volley of arrows, and Thranduil does a quick somersault off of it. And we see him surrounded by orcs, but he goes dual wielding and just cuts them down as he has his reinforcements coming in. To back him up. And the elves have now entered Dale and are trying to assist in the fighting in Dale.
Right. We see Bard fighting some as well. It's just a huge battle going on right now. And
this is my thing. With the entire fighting that happens in this film, right here, this whole giant battle that is happening.
Mm-hmm.
If you really look close while the fighting is happening, as the dwarves are hitting the orcs with their blades as the orcs hit the dwarves, as the elves hit the orcs, and vice versa and whatnot,
Yeah.
they never actually break through any armor.
They don't, and that's with a
And
lot
so, like,
of
So, like, you'll see, like, the elves fighting the orcs, and one elf will hit the same orc, like, 7 or 8 times with their blade. But it's just because they're not going through the armor. And I don't know if that's just a filming mistake that they messed up on, or if that's intentional to show that, like, these different races have some pretty sturdy armor. You know what I mean?
maybe.
I'm not sure which one it is.
At the same time, like, I don't know. I feel like because right now I'm at a scene where Dain is just hammering everybody.
Yeah.
And maybe just the force of it is enough to knock him out or kill him. But like, yeah,
Well,
you don't see him like slicing
Dain,
too
yeah,
much.
but I mean,
which
like,
for Dain you can't really. But like for them,
I say for Dain, yes. But when you look at like the elves or the dwarves, they're using actual blades.
yeah.
Because, I mean, let's be real. Dane's sitting here hitting them with a warhammer and headbutting the orcs and killing them.
Well, that's Dain. But
And with this spot too, where he's doing all this, we do see the dwarves pulling back and they're getting overrun. Like they're full blown getting overrun, retreating back to what were the gates of Erebor.
yeah. Oh, dude. You know what?
And Dain does ask at
Hey,
this point, like,
pause.
Yes.
I cannot watch this because it's on your account and it says playback pause because your account is being used in another location, even though that I've been able to watch it from here on. So regardless, you know what? I'm not able to watch it alongside you. It is up to you to narrate what's going on, and I can comment if I have anything to say, but
Yeah.
I guess. So go for it, I guess.
So, we're at the point where we see Dain, using his boar has actually been killed. The one that he was riding, or his goat has been killed. I think they're goats, like mountain.
Kind of looks like a pig, like a warthog.
So I think his is like a warthog or like a boar.
Oh, but the rest are something else?
Yeah, the rest are because if I'm not mistaken, they're actually called goat riders.
Oh, well, maybe then I saw the, whatever.
Yeah, but Dane's mount has been killed. He was charging through the ranks and whatnot, and they got stabbed by a bunch of spears. And he's sitting there just hitting them with the hammer, headbutting them and whatnot, as the dwarves are falling back and getting overrun. And we do see a point as well where Dane's at this point, like, he's asking where Thorin is. Like, they need something to rally the dwarves. They need something to like give the rest of their fighters that little extra push to fight that much harder.
Yeah.
But as we know as the viewers, Thorin is still hiding in Erebor. And it does cut to Azog, and he, as we hear him talk, he's like, the land is flowing red with blood, like, slaughter all of them, like, more blood, all of the blood. It jumps quickly over to Bard, and he's yelling for the men to fall back as they're getting overrun. And I mean, like I said, it's literally just a slaughter, especially for the men, I would even say, because number one, they have less numbers than like the dwarves and elves did.
Yeah.
Number two, they've got way less training. Like, they had like a couple days of training, as like after the elves showed up, they had some in the last episode the last part that we covered last episode. You could see some of them doing a little bit of training, but they don't have hardly any of it. And it cuts over to Thranduil again. He's still like cutting them down, but we do see the elves starting to fall as well as they're getting overrun. And it's literally just like the good guys are all losing at this point. Like, they're all getting the crap beat out of them.
Yeah.
And it cuts back to Thorin sitting on his throne in Erebor, and Dwalin comes up and is just questioning him, like, they're dying out there. What are we doing? Why are we still sitting here?
Yeah.
And Thorin, with the whole dragon sickness that he's going through, his response is simply move the gold further underground. We can go hide and we can fortify. Just get the gold to safety. Like, he doesn't care that his own cousin out there is probably, as far as he knows, could be dead right now.
Yeah. He has no idea. He's just kind of like, we need safety.
Yeah, and I mean, And because Thorin even says here, he's like, life is cheap, but a treasure like this, it can't be counted in lives lost. Like, he is fully 100% just taken over by the dragon sickness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and Dwalin even comes back with kind of like a retort or like a low blow, I guess. Like Thorin sits there in these halls, with his crown on and like all these fancy armor and stuff, and he's lower than he's ever been. He's a lesser man than he's ever been, and you really see it like it's messing with Thorin's head.
Yeah.
Like Thorin has basically gone mad at this point.
Yeah, he's fully consumed.
Yeah, and I mean Thorin threatens to kill Dwalin unless he leaves right now. He's that far gone, and like Dwalin is someone that Thorin has fought with and like bled with and whatnot, and probably they've saved each other's lives how many different times over the past 60 some odd years,
Yeah.
And this is how he's treating the guy now that he's king under the mountain.
Yeah, he's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We see Thorin walking on the ground there where that mold was of that like golden statue from the last film. And we're hearing a bunch of the different like previous lines. And someone's like, when Thorin was like, "I will not part with a single piece," and he's like, "Am I not the king?" Like all these different like things that are pointing towards his summon or his dragon sickness.
Yeah, he's like hearing all the different like basically summarizing that he's consumed
it's
by
like
it.
This is like the last nail in the coffin, confirming that he's got dragon sickness, that he's just gone mad.
Yeah, and the thing is too, though, he's realizing it.
Yeah.
Like he's yeah.
Yeah, and it even shows too. Like you see like almost like the shadow of Smog under the gold.
Yeah.
Or like you see, it's almost like Smog is under there, and like it takes a weird little thing here where it looks like the gold literally like consumes Thorin, like it kind of like bends in and like closes over him as he's just like having a weird, like, I don't know, like a weird acid trip or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he's never mind. Go. Yep.
But at this point once it kind of comes back to normality here, like he finally realizes that he's been in the wrong this entire time. Like he finally comes back to his normal self.
Yeah.
And it cuts back to Dain at this point as well, as he's calling for like the official like fallback, like the official retreat, whereas before it was just like the dwarves are getting pushed back. Dain is actually like calling for the retreat, like telling them to go fall back to Erebor. We can see some of the dwarves like dragging other ones back while some are getting finished off by orcs.
Yeah.
And Azog is like having all of his forces like form up and like get ready to charge. One last decisive blow to finish them off. As we see the dwarves of Erebor sitting in there like, what do we do? Like, we can't go out there. We were told not to. Like, what the heck is going on? And we see Thorin approaching as well. He's holding his sword, and he doesn't have all the fancy armor and stuff on anymore. And Keely, one of the youngest of the company, actually stands up to him. Is like, I'm not sitting here any longer. Like, I'm going out there and fighting. Like,
yeah.
He's like, it's not in my blood to sit back here and let other people fight for me.
Yeah, he like kind of stands up for, well, what's right,
Yeah.
in voicing that. But, I mean, Thorin's already kind of come to that realization that he's been lost, and he's
finally back to his normal self.
He is, yeah, and then he just acknowledges him. He's like, I feel like, since I'm not watching, I don't know exactly what he said, but he's essentially like, nor should you. Like, you shouldn't sit back. And
it's essentially like, he's like, yeah, you're right. We got to go fight.
Yeah.
And he even like addresses the rest of the company too. Is like, I have no right to ask this of any of you, but will you stand with me one more time? You follow me
Yeah.
into the fray one last
Yep.
time. And they all stand up, and it has kind of like that hopeful music in the background as it cuts back to the dwarves who are pushed back. Yeah, that exactly. It's that. Yep, that's
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was. But it cuts back to the remaining dwarves, and if we compare this to like what we saw of the dwarves right as they showed up originally, like there's not a whole lot of them left.
Yeah.
And they're all like they're pushed back to the gates of Erebor, and they're kind of like in a semicircle, like unable to retreat any further. And Azog gives a command for like all the trolls and stuff to get up there to the front. And as he has them attack, we hear a just deep horn just ring out across the field. And we see Bomber up there with this big old horn that's like wrapping around his body. And as I've watched this, we see the giant bell come banging through the rubble that Thorin and the other dwarves had stacked up like the night before. But then as you see the orcs and the trolls charging, it looks like all of the trolls get killed by arrows, but I've never actually been able to pinpoint where those arrows come from. I
guess my guess would just be elves someplace, but...
Well, and that's the thing, though, because all the elves are over in Dale with Thrain. Or not Thrain, with Thranduil.
Yeah.
So I don't know what elves it would be, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I've just never been able to pinpoint where that fire comes from.
Don't know.
But, we see the giant bell come crashing through the rubble. And as Thorin and his company are charging out, Dale gives that rallying cry, like, to the king! And they all, just a full-blown charge, like, they're rallying, they've got their energy back, and just charge headfirst right into all the orcs. And actually, for a little bit here, it, like, looks like they're just, they demolish them, like, just kicking the crap out of them, but then it comes back into more of like kind of an even fight, like a give and take, like push and push back, and Bilbo sees it, and they're rallying, and I swear, if you compare looking at it, like comparing the numbers of dwarves that were like kind of like before their charge, and then compare it to an overview that you get after their charge happens, it looks like they got more dwarves out of nowhere. Like, it genuinely looks like the dwarven numbers have increased. We see the dwarves doing their big fight, and they're pushing them back, and it cuts over to Bard, and, he kind of tries to give a little rallying thing for the men. Like, anyone that wants to give their last, let's go! And, the men charge back, into the fray as well in Dale. It cuts back to the dwarves, and we see all the different dwarves, like, throwing the axe from one orc to another, killing them. And, like, one dwarf throws it to it, and it kills an orc. The dwarf goes find that orc, picks it up, throws it into another orc. That dwarf picks it up, throws it into another orc.
Yeah.
Kind of like the comical fighting that we've kind of grown used to with the company. They just have that kind of comical, like, really, that's how that happened type of fighting style.
Yeah.
But we do see one troll that instead of feet, it has like a long metal pole with two like giant spiked balls at the end. Instead of hands, it has two flails. It has a flail for each hand, which is a chain with a spiked ball at the end of it.
Yeah.
And it has someone riding it with hooks dug into its eyes.
Yeah, like to control it.
Yeah, and my thing is like, what kind of like, what is this supposed to be? Like, what? This thing looks freaking like this thing looks stupid. Like, I don't get it.
No, I mean just a I don't know. I mean, basically like a tank, I guess. It's just a big old meat sack that you can drive that can,
I guess.
flail stuff for you and take damage
Yeah.
instead of you. I don't know. I guess.
But at this point, it is going back and forth and showing the men fighting, and then the dwarves fighting, going back and forth between the two.
Yeah.
But then at one point we do see that woman that Alfred had like threatened, like right at the beginning of the film, as all these refugees were like coming to shore after Smaug had died.
Mm-hmm.
One that was like handing blankets out and whatnot. She grabs like this harpoon and is like, stand with our men in life and in death. Like, let's go fight with them. Like, we gotta help them out. And so all the women and whatnot are grabbing weapons and whatnot to go help. But Alfred is sitting there dressed as a woman, cowering over so no one sees his face. And it's just like a little comical.
He's trying to escape with them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's this pathetic comical thing. It's like at this point you feel like I remember watching it. I'm like, he is such a pathetic piece of trash.
Right.
Like that he stoops this low to try to get out. Like it's just such a crappy thing really to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I guess
but so really at this point though, like the men get some reinforcements with the women and the elderly grabbing those weapons and coming to fight.
Yeah.
But it cuts back over to the dwarves, and Dain and Thorin finally have kind of like their greeting. After they've both been in the same area for freaking like 3 hours or whatever, they finally have their greeting, and Thorin Dain asks like, "What's your plan? Like, how are we supposed to win this?" And Thorin says, "We're gonna go after Azog. We're gonna go cut the head off the snake." And he gets on one of these like mountain goats and gets ready to charge up there to take Azog out once and for all.
Yep.
And this is the spot where we had kind of agreed to end it for tonight, and we'll cover the I guess the second half of the battle here next time. If you have any other comments on what we've gone over so far.
I don't have any on what we've covered so far. Nope. I guess I would just say, once again, thank you so much for the 4,000 downloads. Share it with your friends. I guess comment anything, but I guess let Evan know what you guys think as far as my voice.
Yes, please. I need the answer.
Well, okay, hold on. Before we go any further, Evan, what is your opinion?
You'll have to wait until I get an answer from some of our listeners.
No, because their answers are not your answers.
You'll have to wait until we get some of the answers from our listeners.
Evan, I will call you Daddy for the entire next episode if you tell me right now.
Jacob?
What?
I'm going to have to not tell you then, because if you call me Daddy for the whole next episode, I'm not going to be able to focus.
You're no fun. All right. Well, anyway, dang it, dude. Okay, but if somebody lets you know, then you'll let me know?
Yeah.
Can you potentially, what if nobody lets you know? Can you please let me know then?
Well, then I guess I'm not letting you know then.
Evan, I've been there for you. For come on, please.
I'll consider it.
I'll settle with that. All right. Anyway, yes. So that's Blooper Reel. If you guys want a live stream, write a review, on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, leave a review there. Get in contact with us. We got TikTok, Instagram, our Gmail, which is yourinDepth@gmail. All the links for everything that we mention that have links are in the description. So just check all that out. Anyway, though, resuming, because Evan, it'll be in the blooper reel. We had, mentioned the TikTok, Instagram, Gmail, all of that. You can also send in voice messages. Once again, everything is in the show notes, the description, whatever.
We do have did you say the Discord server? I missed out.
No, I didn't, but we also have that.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah. And other than that, do you have any closing comments?
Just like you had said at the beginning of the episode, just reiterating, we do have the blooper reel coming out here soon because we did hit 4,000 downloads. But again, every 1,000 downloads is a blooper reel. And
yeah, I guess I avoided saying that because, but regardless. Yep.
Just a reminder, I guess.
Yeah.
But every 100 views is that live stream, and I know I am really looking forward to when we finally get to do that for the first time.
Yep.
So I think that's going to be really fun.
I think it would be, yeah. Given that we have some people joining in, and yeah, that'd be fun.
I would say, definitely, like go in there, leave a review. Even if you think we're complete garbage, and leave us a 1-star review.
Okay, please don't leave us a 1-star review. Here's the thing: you can say literally anything, hurtful or not, towards the two of us, but please, just 5 stars. You could literally be like, and I'm sorry, Evan. This is where my mind went. I do not mean it coming from me. I do not mean it coming from me. Yep. Okay, I need you to know that. Tell me that you know that.
Let's hear it.
You could literally go 5 stars and then be like, "Hey, remember last episode when Jacob mentioned that farmhouse fire that Evan's house went through? He should have been in that." Like you could do anything, but please, the 5 stars. Again, Evan, not from me.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
But anyways,
thank you for joining in.
Yep, the 100 reviews for the live stream, and if you want more of Jacob, you can find him over at Rude, Crude, and Socially Unacceptable
at OnlyFans / Sorry. I upload gaming content there. Anyway.
Uploads gaming content on OnlyFans.
Yeah. Well, who knows? YouTube's whatever.
Well, you can find Jacob over on YouTube at Rude, Crude, and Socially Unacceptable.
Yeah.
And then you have your other podcast that...
down the road. Nope, we have not. We're still on a break from that, but the entire first season is out. So, down the road on Spotify and Apple and all of that. All the places you see this place, or this podcast, you can find it at. Just down the road.
And then you can find me on YouTube as well at Future Instinct. So if you like you like our content here, definitely go check those out.
Yep.
And leave more insults on those videos and whatnot for us.
Yep. Cyberbully Evan. Holy crap. Cyberbully Evan over at Future Instinct.
Yeah, bring it on. I want to hear all of it. That is my call to action. Go to my YouTube channel and just leave insults on my videos.
Yep.
As I'm sitting here eating potatoes and chicken.
Anyway. See you next time. Goodbye.
Peace.
Deuces.